Hello, my friends. Welcome to Mindfulness Meditation Monday. My name is Ellen Patrick, and I will be your guide. So before we begin, just a quick announcement. Due to some vacation traveling, and the Labor Day holiday, we will not be having any meditations together for the next 3 weeks. So our next time together will be on September 15th. But you can always go to YouTube and find me on YouTube, and I've got many 10-minute meditations there that you could use in the interim. And they're there for you anytime you would like them. So let's begin to get ready for our meditation. You know, I like to start with the candle lighting, so I will do that now. May the lighting of this candle dispel the darkness of our minds and the minds of all beings. Okay. And when I say the darkness of our minds, I'm really referring to the suffering that we have a tendency to create ourselves due to painful situations in our lives. So another way of saying this little prayer is, may the lighting of the candle dispel our suffering and the suffering of all beings. So please, I invite you now to come into a comfortable seat. And yes, it's time to begin. So I've called today's practice, "There's someone in my head and it's not me." And this is a famous line from those great philosophers, Pink Floyd. And I was listening to this one afternoon in the car, and it dawned on me how many voices there are in my head. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that as well. And so those voices that we hear in our head come from our parents, from the past, from the present with our parents, from teachers, bosses, religion, society. And those voices can be very loud, and they do compete with one another. So you can imagine then what our minds are like, or perhaps you even know firsthand how crazy and loud and noisy it can get. And so meditation helps us to quiet those voices so that we can hear the voices of our soul, our hearts, our gut. And those voices tend to be a little bit more quiet. They're not driven by the ego. So they're a little bit more quiet, but they're firm. And so it's important to hear those voices, to connect with our souls, our hearts, our guts. So how do we do that? And we do it through meditation. We unattach from distractions. So if there's a noise outside, if there's a conversation that you're thinking about, detachment is the key there to letting go, to keep coming back to the breath, which is the second part of this, to anchor in the breath, letting go of the stories and the narratives that tend to be created as a result of conversations and distractions, as a result of those loud voices that we hear in our head. So we're looking to tap into that quiet voice that is the seer, the one who sees the dramas unfolding in front of us. It's almost like being at a movie theater and you're sitting in the audience watching a drama, watching a comedy, watching a musical unfold in front of you. You are the observer. And so when we can detach from those voices in our head that are not us, we can start to find the voice of our guts, of our hearts, of our souls. And as we start to listen to those voices and cultivate those voices, we start to create a more authentic self and in a more authentic life. So let's begin that process now. And I invite you to close your eyes. And you may immediately notice those voices in your head. So notice them. When we tend to stuff them, they get louder. So notice them. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I'd rather come back to my breath. I'd rather be present. And so let's focus on the breath. Noticing the inhale, noticing the exhale. And as you watch the breath, those voices tend to dissipate. They move out, they move away, and you're able to let go. So notice your inhale, and then the exhale. And as you become more aware of your breath, you're also relaxing your nervous system. And as your nervous system relaxes, the mind slows down. It gets a little more quiet. And don't be disturbed if you still hear some noise. As you continue to focus on the breath, those voices will quiet down. The body will start to relax. And with a focus on the present moment, through an awareness of the breath, you're able to start hearing the voice of your soul. You become a little more familiar with gut sensations. You can invite your heart to open. And if those voices start to come back into your awareness, just notice them and let go. It sounds simple, not always easy, but we are training the mind through meditation. So through repetition, we create new neural pathways that prefer to be present, focused on the breath, and listening for guidance from the soul. So again, we inhale and we exhale. One breath at a time, we start to cultivate a more authentic self, a more authentic life, one that is created from instinct, from a deep listening. Inhaling and exhaling. We anchor in the present moment. One breath at a time. This breath in and this breath out. each breath giving us an opportunity to start over, to let go, to unattach, to be more present. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in and breathing out. Thank you for joining me. I hope this practice was helpful to you. And remember, we won't be together again until September 15th. Until then, I wish you a very peaceful, present, and quiet summer.